Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So glad to have all of you here with us at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. We're happy to see you here in person. We're also happy to know that many of you are joining us via YouTube live stream. Welcome to all of you. My name is Charlotte Olson. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member of this congregation. Caden, would you please come forward now and light our chalice, which signifies the start of our service.
Good morning again. I'm Deidre Springer, and my pronouns are she, her, whatever, I don't care. And again, welcome to our welcoming and inclusive community. We're so glad you chose to join us today. Today is Father's Day. So before I forget, happy Father's Day to all you fathers and everyone who acts as a father. Today is also the day before Juneteenth, which was proclaimed a national holiday in 2021 by President Biden. Our opening reading, a poem by Noah Griffin, captures the meaning and spirit of this relatively new holiday. Juneteenth's a celebration of Liberation Day. When word of emancipation reached Texas, slaves, they say, in sorrow, we were brought here to till a harvest land. We lived and died and fought here till freedom was at hand. They tore apart our families. They stole life's nascent breath, turned women into mammies, and worked our men to death. They shamed the very nation which fostered freedom's birth. It died on the plantation, denying man his worth. But greed and misplaced honor brought crisis to a head, and justice felt upon her the weight of Union dead. They fought to save a nation, and yet they saved its soul from moral condemnation and made the country whole. But when the war was waning and the battle was in doubt, the soldiers were complaining and many dropping out. There seemed but one solution which might yet save the day, although its execution loomed several months away. The Congress was divided, the cabinet as well. Abe did his best to hide it, and no one did he tell. He meant to sign an order to deal the South a blow. The Mason-Dixon border and the rebel states below would now have to contend with the freedman on their land. For slavery had endeth, for woman, child, and man. The time, 1863, the first day of the year. But June of 65 would be the time we would hold dear. For that would be when freedom's first saw full light of day and justified why men had fought and died along the way. Now every June we celebrate what Lincoln had in mind, the day he did emancipate the bonds of all mankind. And now we have our opening song. I think the words are going to be on the screen momentarily. There we go. And it's number 148 in your hymnals, Let Freedom Span Both East and West.
for all ages. So young and young at heart are welcome to come forward. Camille has a special story for us today.
Hello, y'all are welcome to come join me up here if you'd like to see the pictures. Good morning. How are you today? Good. All right, we're going to read a book today called Who Are Your People? And it is by Bakari Sellers. When you meet someone for the first time, they might ask, "Who are your people?" and "Where are you from?" Who are your people? You should always be proud of who you are. Your people were strong and smart. They dreamed of things not yet seen and imagined that we could all be free. Your people were fighters. When they were told they had to leave because of the color of their skin, they sat down. Your people were mighty, activists, champions that struggled for justice and equality. They marched so that people would know your life matters. And they stood up and ran to make history and change lives. Your people were trailblazers who changed laws and broke records. Today, we stand on their shoulders. When they ask you, "Where are you from?" you are from a land where the soil is dark and matches the richness of your skin, where cotton and sugarcane were strongly rooted and match your strength and determination. You are from the country, where time moves with ease and where kindness is cherished. We say a simple hello to our neighbors to let them know we see them. Can you say hello to your neighbors? Hello. You are from a place where the aromas of cakes and pies waft from the windowsills to fill your bellies with goodness and your hearts with love. Yum. You are a product of the proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child." You are from a place filled with love and hope and expectation, where people rooted for you to succeed. Today, we stand on their shoulders. On their shoulders, you are so strong and so loved. On their shoulders, you can reach for the sky. So, what will you dream? How will you change the world? Thank you for reading with me, and if we can sing the children out.
We're now going to have a time of meditation followed by our candle lighting, where you'll be able to come up and light a candle to signify a joy or a concern in your life. First, we'll do our meditation, and I have a brief reading by a Black Unitarian Universalist named Adrian L.H. Graham, who's a lay leader from the UU Church in Baltimore. And after I read it, then I'll hit the chime bowl, and after that sound dissipates, then we'll invite you to come forward to light a candle. Please give me 10 seconds to pull it up on my phone. Okay. Holy Spirit of life that breathes within us all, help us to experience the other and to be unafraid. Let not the bountiful ways that we are different cause us to be wary of one another, but teach us to be mindful of the glorious array of humanity and to celebrate our worth as people together. Two more candles. One is to represent those sorrows and joys that may remain on your heart still. The second one is to represent joys and concerns from those folks who are watching us virtually and are unable to be here in person to light a candle.
invite the choir to come forward to sing. You, congregation, I'm giving you a responsibility, as I often do. Listen carefully to the song that the choir is going to sing, because you'll be required to sing it later on in the service also. So, I challenge you to go ahead and concentrate on the harmonies that are going on and be ready to sing it. And if you choose to do a solo, that can be worked in as well. But anyway, so listen carefully. We're going to sing a song called Be the Change You Want to See in the World.
Truly an honor for me to introduce our guest speaker today. Franklin McCauley was born into one of Chattanooga's most prominent families. If, and that is an if, he's used this privilege, he's used it to better the world. He's been a school teacher and principal and community leader. He and his wife, Tressa, also a school teacher, have been innovative organizers for racial justice and equality in the Chattanooga area for decades. I could go on for hours about this wonderful man, but I'm sure you'd rather hear from him than from me. So without further ado, here's my friend and inspiration, Franklin McCauley.
You notice Daddy almost took my microphone too. When Daddy asked me to speak, she said, "I'm going to give you 20 minutes." I said, "Daddy, I've never given a speech for just 20 minutes in my life." She said, "Well, I'll go back and see what I can do." Then she came back with 30. I said, "Daddy, the last time I talked for an hour and a half." Actually, I remembered. I was at a college. We were doing a workshop, and that's what that was all about. So this is not a workshop, but I was hoping. I know you all are busy. You've got a social justice committee. You've got a green sanctuary. You know, some of you will be, Judith, I'm sure, and others will be out on the Juneteenth march tomorrow on MLK. So when I come to you, I'm not talking to people who aren't already doing things. But you saw the title of my talk, so much further to go. And we do. We do. My goodness, if we look around, how much further we have to go. I like sometimes to start where I started as a racist teenager and come on up and let you see why I finally changed and do what I did. But if I do that, I never get to the part that I really want to get to, which is you and what you can do. So I'm going to come down and start with the positive, the part right now, excuse me. And I want to say to you, on the tables when you go out, I hope you'll pick up one of the flyers that Teresa and I have, which will give you two things to look at on your phone. I hope you'll look at them and see what you think. I'm going to ask you to do something. I know you're already doing things, but I am going to ask you to follow up and do something. Teresa and I, when we returned, we're both born and raised here. When Teresa and I returned to Chattanooga in 2012, we started going as we'd been in Chicago 5 years, in St. Louis 41, actually 37. Been away for 41, 42 years. And when we got back here, we did something that we did in those two cities. We started going to different venues. We'd go to a black venue and find we were the only white people in the room. We'd go to a white venue, and often here in Chattanooga, we'd be with white people. There wouldn't be any black people in the room. None, zero. So we asked my cousin, Eleanor McCauley Cooper, what's going on? What's happened in the time we've been away? She said to me, she was in charge of Chattanooga Venture, if some of you know about that program, late 80s, early 90s. She said, Franklin, in 1992, about, the money was pulled from the Chattanooga program, Chattanooga Venture program. Everybody was getting together. We were doing good things, black and white and other. And the money was pulled. We didn't do anything more. Said nothing's happened since then, really, certainly interracially. So Teresa and I decided we'd try to do something. And we decided that we would call people together and talk about what the problem is, how to rectify it. As we got people together in our home, we found that's hard. 2013 was a time when I'd send out some emails. That didn't work. You had to talk to people in person. And when they finally came to when we finally got them on the phone, some people said, now, what are you doing? So we were going to get black and white people to come to our home. By the way, we'd bought a home on the south side, hadn't been lived in for 2 years. People said, you're in the wrong place. You'll never get your money out of that. And you know there are black people around. We said, well, yeah, we know black people. That's why we're coming to the south side. We had seeing what we wanted to do. We took the living room, knocked the wall out of that, knocked the wall out of the kitchen, made them all bigger so that we could bring in groups. And when we talked to people, we had to talk. I had to call them in person and say who I was. Now, you talking about privilege? McCauley name made a difference. When I said Franklin McCauley, they said, oh, well, maybe there won't be a shouting match in your living room. A shouting match. Yeah. People worried about black and white, 2013, worried about black and white people getting together. First time we got together, we had about 27 people. The last black person who came in, black man, he looked at the group and he came over and he said, you got this many white people who care about this subject? The last white man came in and said, you know this many black people? Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't. Teresa didn't either. We didn't know that many black people, and we'd lost track of a lot of white friends. So I called Judy Schwartz. You may know Judy. She knows everybody. I said, Judy, I want the names of 25 white people and 15 black people. She said, when you want it? I said, give me 2 days. So she said, okay. She gave them to me. I called all those people. Every time I talked to them, they said, you're talking about doing what? I said, well, we're talking about getting black and white people together in the living room and talking. All right, 27 people came. In the first meeting, a young white woman, red hair, pretty person, smart, started talking, and then she burst out crying. And we didn't know why. She said, you know, the other night, my black husband and my 6-year-old lovely mixed-race son were in Ottawa at our local restaurant. And as we sat down, an older man, probably my age, white man, sitting at the table next, looked over, saw them, and did this. Literally. Got up, moved to the other side of the room. I said, that didn't happen. She said, it did happen. It was just like that. I couldn't believe it, but it was that way. We had that meeting just together in our living room, 27 people. Hard to have everybody talking, but it was terrific. It was outstanding. We decided, we weren't sure, maybe it was going to be a one-time meeting. We decided that was so good, let's have 2 more in September. So we decided to have them Thursday and Monday. Now, eventually, we had 27 of those meetings, 41 meetings if you count the leadership team that we put together. 1,600 people came through our living room, 600 different people, but 1,600 people in all. They were terrific. In one of the second meetings that we had, a woman said, having been to our first one, I'm going to go do what you said. And so she came back and she said, you know, Franklin, you were talking in the last meeting about the fact that black and white people just don't get together. And she said, you mentioned a study, and I had, a study which showed that in the same office, white people would get up to go to lunch, and say 15 white people would get up and go out this door, and 3 black people working in the same office would go out this door. And that's what happened over and over. And studies had just come out which said to us that what happens is these people, the white people go out, they start doing what everybody does. They don't just talk social. They start talking about jobs. They start talking about what's coming down the pike, what you've heard of, what's open, who's doing what. 13, 14 white people talking among themselves about that versus 3 black people talking who don't have the information. And this study shows what's keeping our black people back is they don't have a chance to get in the circle of gossip. They're not in it. We've got to do something. She said to me, so this woman was saying, Franklin, I heard you say that. So I decided to do something. At the next time, the very next day, I went and said to one of my black colleagues, June, may I go to lunch with your group? She said, of course, that's wonderful. Lunchtime came, and Patricia started out with June, out this door. A call came from a white colleague, female colleague, who said, Patricia, will you come here and speak to me a minute? She said, June, wait just a minute. She went over here. She said, Patricia, you don't want to be seen with those people at lunch. Now, they work together all day long, every day, every year. But you don't want to be seen with those people at lunch. I said, what'd you say? She said, yes, I do. And she went. Boy, the pressure on her was amazing. Having heard about the groups going out and having heard the study, I decided I'd check something. So on the next day, or on one of those days following, at 4 o'clock, I went down to Community Pie, which I think you know is beside Miller Park. At about 4:15, 13 white people came in, all together, male and female. They entered the restaurant. I didn't know where they were together. They all picked a table and spread out and talked. No black people at all. Within about 15 minutes, 2 black females came in. I have no idea whether they're in the same office. If I'd been into investigative reporting, I was going to go over and sit with them and say, where are y'all coming from and what office and so on. And then I would have gone to the 2 ladies and said, where are you coming from and so on. I did not do that. Let me take a guess, they may have come from the same office. But it is that kind of thing. And it's not, as I say, it's not just getting together. It is passing information that we need. Well, Teresa and I decided this was important that we get people together. If we don't get people together, we don't even start the process. And it's that time when we started asking people to come to our house And as I've said, I've told you already how many meetings we had, but here's how we did it. We found out if you have one meeting, a lot of people can't come. Sincerely, they can't come. So you have a meeting on Thursday, on Monday, and on Wednesday. You set them up that way. You call with this. We're having 3 meetings. They're all the same thing. Please come. We started having 60 people. It was wonderful. We named a leadership team, 17 black, 15 white. When we got there, Eleanor McCauley Cooper, my cousin, who had told me about, here's the problem we're having, she and Mel, her husband, Teresa and I hosted. We started in the big group, 7 o'clock. Actually, we had, we called them dessert conversations. They got the desserts from 7 to 7:30. 7:30, we started talking in the group. Took about 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half hour. Sent them to different places. 2 groups up in the bedrooms, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the dining room with their groups. And they had terrific talks. We had to pull them down at 9 o'clock. Come on down. We still didn't get some of the groups out. Those nights that we did this, at 11 o'clock, we were through at 9:30. At 11 o'clock, often we had to say, guys, Teresa and I going to bed. Would you help us out here? It was terrific. And the only thing that stopped it was COVID. And that put a cramp in all of us. Right before COVID, though, because it was labor intensive, and it was labor intensive, I got to tell you, you don't do this without some labor. Right before that, we had said to everybody, if you would you like to come to smaller groups? And a lot of them said so. So we started doing groups of 8. Now let me tell you where that's gone. The group of 8, the small group of 8, Teresa and I have now moved, because we were on the south side for a long time, because we're now 83, we've moved to Election Village. Some of our black friends said, Franklin, Teresa, there are no black people up there. And we've said, not yet. Not yet. We're working on it. We have. We've had 3 groups up. The other night we had a black friend up in the main lodge. People speak to us, but that night we had 8 people come over and speak at our table. How are y'all doing, and who is this? It was friendly, I think. It was good. All right, there's more to be done. I know you all do things, but I got to tell you, this is a winning situation. We know we've got more to go, and now we know we've really got more to go, what with the political situation that has been so terrible. But it can be done. We got a call one day from New York City, and the man said, Mr. Cawley, I'm from CBS. I understand y'all doing something interracially down there. I said, yes, we are. He said, we want to come down and tape you. I said, that's fine. He said, we want to come tomorrow. I said, you can't come tomorrow. Come in 2 days. They sent 3 teams in 2015, came to our house, took everything, videoed everything going on, and that night we were on national TV. 2 days later, by 2 days later, I'd heard from 16 cities across the country. The one I know lasted was Chicago, because that lady called us 4 times, and the last time she said, our church is meeting, we've got a group going. But we heard from Hernando, Mississippi. Now there's something. Charleston, South Carolina, Seattle, Jersey City, 16 towns across the country who wanted to know what we did and how we did it. We were really, really pleased, and we think that's gone. This can happen. It is not just to build friendships, but folks, we've got white and black people who've never met the other. When we had our groups, I would ask white friends, how many of you have been into a black home? Well, you have. I'm not asking you. Thank you, that's great. I'm telling you, you know how many we found? We said to black people, how many of you have been into white homes? Not talking about servants, I'm talking about as a guest. You know how many we had in those first few times? That many. It's got to change, and somebody has to do something about it. Now, why did I choose to do something about this? I was born and raised in the Erlanger, and 3 months later, a little girl that I went down and visited and said, yes, I love her and I want to marry her. She was born there too. 60 years later, this coming week, we've been married that long. Went to Macaulay School campus, was raised on the Macaulay School campus, born 1940. 1940 to 45 was World War II. I'm saying this for the younger people around here. The old ones know that. We were all World War II people. We're all in that battle, all for the United States. 1945, the war's over, and all of a sudden, I am a Confederate. Oh my goodness, am I a Confederate? Waving the Confederate. Ask me why. I can't tell you. It was in the air. It was in the water. That's what we did. I sang Dixie. I was Robert E. Lee. That's just what we did. I hate to think what the wonderful black people on the Macaulay School campus, who all, by the way, were in serving positions. They didn't have any teachers, of course. Didn't have any administrators. Didn't have any students who were black. At any rate, I hate to think what they thought with little Franklin Macaulay, son of the headmaster, running around with his Confederate flag, singing Dixie. I did it. That went on for some years. At the top of the ridge, I went up one day as a little 8-year-old boy, climbed the ridge, and saw this big monument to OHIO. I came to my father and I said, OHIO, what's that monument? He said, that's the monument to the soldiers of Ohio who went up, beat the Confederates, and went on to win the war. Win the war? Oh yeah, honey, the Union won. We lost the war? What? Honey, it's okay. It kept the nation together. I didn't like that. Boy, I don't know where I got that. Dad was not a hater. He was not a Ku Klux, and my mother was not. But I do remember when I was 14 going to the World Missions Conference, and my mother said to me, now, honey, remember, Jesus Christ doesn't require us to integrate. And I said, sweet woman. I said, oh, well, good. So I went very glad that Jesus Christ didn't require us to integrate. I continued on that way till I was 20 years of age. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee at school. At that time, well, now it's Rhodes College. A friend of mine, fraternity brother, said, we're going to have an interracial meeting. Franklin, why? To meet the colored kids over at Lemoyne. Franklin, why? To get to know what they think. Why do we care what they think? That's where I was. I'm telling you this story because I want you to know some people say you can't change somebody if they're not ready to change. Untrue. There's a way to change them if you listen to them, if you give them the right information. So next Sunday, 70 of us, 70 whites, went to Lemoyne College, met 30 black people. We sat down, and I'm going to tell you something. We looked at each other. We stared at each other. I'd never looked at a black person in my life except a servant, and never really. We divided up into 10 groups, had little name tags. The first person, the one who called us together, the black person, said, glad to have you all here. We're going to have a 3-hour dialogue. My friend got up and said 2 rules. Be honest, be courteous. Be honest, be courteous. We divided into 10, went into a room. I sat down. I wasn't going to say a thing. I was angry about being there. I was sorry I did it in the first place. I wasn't ready to hear anybody. The leader, the young black leader, John, and the girl with him started talking to make everybody feel good. They didn't make me feel good. I listened to them, and all of a sudden I realized these 2 kids are smarter than I am. They're colored kids, and they're smarter than I am. You know how that made me? Mad, angry. So I raised my hand. John, seeing my tag, he said, Franklin. I said, John, let me ask you something. Now remember, this is just 16 years after World War II is over. And I'm into World War II. I said, tell me why the colored troops during World War II gave up a lot, surrendered, didn't fight very well. John said, where'd you hear that? I said, my father. He did hear it. I did hear it from my father. White guys from Macaulay had gone to war, come back and said rotten things, not all of them, but some of them, said rotten things about the colored troops in World War II. John said, well, you know, there were some who won awards, decorated for valor, but let me ask you something. You have anybody, Frank, you have anybody fight World War II? I said, yeah, 2 uncles. One was at Pearl Harbor when it was bombed. The other was in the Philippines. He said, you know, I did too. He said, Frank, what were your uncles fighting for? Now remember, I didn't want to be in this conversation in the first place. I'd started, but I didn't want to. I said, what do you mean what are they fighting for? Freedom, democracy, pursuit of happiness. What do you mean? I was righteously indignant. He said, so was I. So were my uncles. And he said, Franklin, you ever shop in downtown Memphis? I said, we're talking about World War II. He said, I am too. You ever shop in downtown Memphis? I said, yes, I do. He said, did you eat lunch? I said, yes, I did. He said, where'd you eat lunch? I said, I ate at the counter. I'm a college kid. I ate at the counter of the store I was shopping in. He said, you know, that's real interesting. My uncles and I, here we are in Memphis, we shop at that same department store. I said, great. He said, do you know where we eat lunch? I said, not with me. He said, that's right. My uncles and I, the ones that fought in World War II for freedom and justice, democracy, after we shop, we get on a bus. We ride 2 miles out of town and eat lunch because we can't eat at the place we shop. And it hit me. Gosh, it hit me. Right then. I saw it. I became ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't say another word. We left that day after the 3 hours. I went to my bed, southwestern Memphis, lay down on my bed and sobbed for 3-4 hours in a row. I was so embarrassed at how stupid I had been. He got me, and he never said a bad word to me, but he got me. I dropped out of college that night. I wasn't working very hard. Dropped out of college. Really wasn't. But those 2 things got me. And I went to the dean of men, who had taught at Macaulay himself with my father. And I said, Dean Deal, we're in a Christian white college. We don't even know those people over there. I got out, came home, worked for a while, joined the Navy, came back, married Teresa, who put me through the rest of school and my master's. Came back to Macaulay. I'm about over. Came back to Macaulay and said to my father in 1968, I'm ready to teach at Macaulay, but you got to integrate. 1968, Macaulay Baylor GPS Bright School were not integrated. Dad looked at me and said, Franklin, we can't integrate. Those people can't do our work. I said, Dad, you don't know any black people. He said, I know Dr. C.C. Bond. I said, that's good. You know one, he's the assistant superintendent of the public school system. He's smart, isn't he? And the way Dad said, yes, he is, it meant, yeah, he's the only one. I said, Dad, I can't do this. I went to Howard High School. Great experience. While I was there at Howard, I taught a kid, I was there 3 years, last year's assistant principal, first white assistant principal. While I was there, I taught one kid who gave me trouble every day. Not disciplinary trouble, intellectual trouble. I'd say up, he'd say down. I'd say right, he'd say left. I said, what are you going to be when you grow up? He said, I'm going to be an attorney. I said, you know what? You're already practicing on me. Walter Williams. Judge Walter Williams. He was hellacious. We have laughed about that forever. At any rate, the next year, I heard that the downtown Chattanooga Kiwanis Club had taken its all-white group, had taken its first black member. I was delirious. I went down to the town to see Mr. Marion Gaston, president of a bank. I stuck out my hand. He shook it. He said, what for, son? I said, Mr. Gaston, thank you so much. You're the only man I know who could get the 100 white men to take that first black member. He shook my hand. He looked at me. He said, son, didn't you know that was your father? I cried. I cried. I hopped in my car. He called my dad, said I was coming. Got to Macaulay School. He was coming out of the office. Dad said, Franklin, we cried together. He said, Frank, I've been wrong about black people. He's 61 years old. He said, I've been wrong about black people all my life. Next year, the Board of Trustees and I are going to integrate Macaulay School. And he called Baylor, GPS, and Brights. And he said, we're going. He didn't say, we'll go if you go. He said, we're going. What do you want to do? They said, if Macaulay School's going, we'll go. One more story. In teaching at Howard, I had never really known, I'd listened to black friends, but I didn't really know the hurt. I listened to them talk, but before this, I had to listen hard. I could hear the hurt. My principal came to me. He said, look, we're sending the football team up to Nashville to play Pearl Cone. I want you to be on the bus. I love that kind of thing. I want you to be on the bus and take them up. Greyhound bus. I'm going to be the administrator, 50 black kids, one black female teacher, chemistry teacher, wonderful, later became principal of Howard School. Got on the bus, went over Mont Eagle, 15 miles over Mont Eagle, blew a tire. It was 4 hours before we got that tire fixed. It was 8 o'clock. It was dark. The game was halfway over. We couldn't make it up to Nashville. The kids are hungry. I said, guys, I'm sorry, we can't make it to the ball game. They said, Mr. McCollum, we don't care about the ball game. We're hungry. We want burgers. I said, you'll get your burgers. I said, you'll get your burgers. I told the driver, pull into Manchester. We pulled into Manchester. First place we saw, burger joint. No franchises, just individual burger joints. Burger joint, he pulls in. He pulls that bus around, goes over to the other side so cars could park. I get the kids out, 2 by 2. We start in. We get right to the door. The lights go. Now, wait. It's 1970. The 64 decision had been made for equal rights, equal access. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you, honey. Equal accommodations in public places. All right, we get to the door, lights go off, boom, door's locked, thing comes down. Man from inside says, we're closed. I looked at my watch, it's 8:15. What time do you close? He looked at his watch, 8:15. I said, okay, kids go back. They didn't say a word. Went back, got in the bus. I didn't figure it. I wasn't fast enough. Went down the road to the next one. Pulls in, pulls over the lot. We get out, same thing. This time it's 8:30. And the kids say, what's going on, Mr. McCauley? And I say, you know what's going on. You know what's going on. But we'll get our burgers. Now I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of being arrested for trying to get kids legally in a restaurant. I'm afraid I can't get them in there. I've never run into this before. I'm Franklin McCauley. I'm a white man, and my name's McCauley back in Chattanooga. It is nothing out here. I say to the bus driver, going down that road, stop at the next place. Don't go. Stop on the road the minute you see it. Got off the bus, walked 100 yards. Got into this place. I've got a white face. I said, where's the owner? He said, he's right here. Sir, John, Mr. Beck, you own this place? Yes. He sees my white face. Do you think you can handle 50 hungry teenagers ready for burgers? Oh, yeah, bring them on. I said, I will. So I go back and get on the bus. I say, bus driver, put me at the door. Bus driver pulls that, and I say to the kids, when you get off this bus, you get right through that door, you sit down. Don't wait for a friend, sit down. Decide right now, you want a burger, fries, and Coke, say that. That bus driver about put the cupola off the thing. Put it in, put that thing in. I jumped off, held both doors. Kids went in, the white owner looking, all the white people in there looking. It's 1970. It's 5, 6 years after the law. We got our burgers that night. But the kids knew how they got them. They got it because I'm a white man. And that wasn't fair. And I felt rotten. And that's one of the reasons all the rest of this that I've told you at the first took place. Thank you.
Oh. For our social justice moment, we're kind of combining that with our Donate the Plate. This is a Donate the Plate Sunday, and we are so happy to have Takora Peterson from Girls Inc. Come on up, Takora, and tell us more about Girls Inc., which is an organization that Franklin recommended to us.
Well, good morning to everyone. I stand before you being able to come after Mr. McCauley because I, too, have been able to be a part of his conversations around diversity and just the work and the things that they both do as a dynamic duo in the community. I'm able to stand before you to let you all know that I do lead fairly. So if you can participate with me in this really quick, brief exercise that would help you understand the work that they are doing and their support for Girls Inc., which is a local nonprofit. We've been around for 62 years, and we provide programs and activities for girls ages 6 through 18. So the exercise that we will do today, I'm going to ask you a question about a relationship dynamic. And if you can say yes to that relationship dynamic, then you will stand and remain standing, okay? So how many of you are parents to a girl? If you are, please stand. Okay. How many of you are brothers or sisters to a girl?
Do we sit back down?
No, stay standing, please. Thank you. How many of you have mothers? So at this point, we should all be standing. And this exercise is to show you that everyone in this room believes in the rights and abilities of girls. So you may now be seated. Thank you so much. As I mentioned, Girls Inc. of Chattanooga is a local nonprofit, and we provide in-school, after-school, and seasonal camp programs for girls ages 5 through 18. So tomorrow will be the third week of our summer camp, where we are hosting over 100 young ladies who believe in the mission of what it means to be strong, smart, and bold. As I mentioned, we as a local affiliate have been around for 62 years. We are one of 77 affiliates across the U.S. and also in Canada. And Girls Inc. of Chattanooga is one of 7 affiliates in the state of Tennessee. When we open our doors every single day, we have 3 objectives as we engage with girls across the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County. And that is to increase their knowledge, teach them a new skill set, and change their attitude and behavior about living and learning. Every single day, our girls come from across the city and the county with many, many, many different lifestyles. But we are bringing them all together to think about the holistic approach to being a human being. We want our girls to be strong, smart, and bold in the classrooms because they are our future, but they are our future today. We want our girls to be strong, smart, and bold within their homes and their communities because, again, they are the future, but their future starts today. We want our girls to walk away from the Girls Inc. experience that teaches them to be healthy, educated, and independent as they navigate from girlhood to womanhood. And how do we do this work? We do this work with supporters like the McCaulleys and many of you that believe that girls need a space to thrive, that believe that girls need a space to make mistakes. Until we reduce the statistics and we reduce the barriers of women and minority women in STEM, until we reduce our literacy rates for our girls, Girls Inc. will continue to be the staple organization that helps our girls to be strong, smart, and bold. So I'm going to read off 6 Bill of Rights, and these are the rights that we believe in across our network. And as I've done my research on joining you all today, as I've listened and been under the leadership of the McCaulays, and as I see what your congregation believes in and stands in, I believe that Girls Inc. is really that staple organization that's doing the work that you're doing now. We are advocating for our girls. We are helping our girls advocate for themselves, but also how to advocate for others, because they have a right to be here. They have a right to be smart, they have a right to be strong, and most importantly, they have a right to be bold. So there is more information about Girls Inc. of Chattanooga that has been provided to you, and also the Girls Inc. Bill of Rights that I hope that you will take and read and have discussion about them. And the 6 Bill of Rights are: girls have the right to be themselves and to resist gender stereotypes. Girls have the right to express themselves with originality and enthusiasm. Girls have the right to take risks, to strive freely, and to take pride in themselves and in success. Girls have the right to accept and appreciate their bodies. Girls have the right to have confidence in themselves and to be safe in the world. Girls have the right to prepare for interesting work and economic independence. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come and briefly share about Girls Inc. of Chattanooga. As I mentioned, there's more materials available, and I will be here to answer any questions. Again, thank you to the McCaulays for allowing us to join your platform to speak about Girls Inc. And also thank you, Ms. Charlotte, for the hospitality and giving us an opportunity to share. Thank you all so much.
Offertory response words together. Oh, can we go back one? Here we go. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings.
Now's your time to shine. If you'll stand up and join me in singing Be the Change, the choir will help you out with it. But, you know, feel free to move to clap. Try to clap on 2 and 4 also. And I hope you enjoy singing this song.
Want to see in the world, be the change you want to see in
seated, would you please come forward now to extinguish our chalice? This does mark the end of our service, and we are going to read the words for our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. And that concludes our service. And now, Dady will lead us in announcements.
Yes, one of the favorite parts of the service, announcements. I do have one reminder for you before I call up anybody else who has an announcement. Next Sunday is going to be a very special Sunday. We're going to be live streaming the Sunday service from General Assembly in Pittsburgh, and we will have a brunch here, and we'll have tables set up, and it's going to be a remarkable experience. Steve and I will actually be in Pittsburgh and be at the service live. So if there's a sign-up sheet on the back table for those of you who want to bring food or drink or whatever you want to bring. We'll need everybody to cooperate in this. Thank you. Andy, you look like you have an announcement.
I was just going to call for an announcement. I do have one announcement. Oh, that's very loud. My name is Andy, and I am your board president for 2 more weeks, but who's counting? The last board meeting of my year as board president is this coming Wednesday, the 21st? Yes, okay. At 6 p.m., it's going to be a potluck, so all board members and future board members, you all should have been notified by now. So please come, bring a dish to share, and we will map out our new year and discuss some other stuff that's important to the board. I know there's other stuff going on this week. Who else might have an announcement about that? Oh, I'm going to give it to Judy.
Hello, I'm Judy Gallagher, President-elect in 2 weeks. But Dylan will be president. I'm president, like vice president, basically, called president-elect. So Dylan will take over. But on behalf of social justice, I want to remind you all that next Sunday is the 4th Sunday of the month. The Dornbushers aren't here, so they asked us to remind them. Bring your food donations for the Community Food Bank next Sunday. And we will be marching as a church in the Juneteenth parade tomorrow, so do join us. Lineup, I think, is 12:30 at Peoples and MLK, so join us there. There will be some kind of festival. I've heard it called a gala at Miller Park afterwards. I'm not sure what the rain's doing and what that'll do to all that, but do at least come to march. And standing out will still happen. Is that what you were going to talk about? Yeah, okay. Stand out is at 4:30, right? So they will still be planning to be there. I don't know if you'll be there in the rain or not. You usually don't go if it rains. Not if it's raining. Okay, so those are the social justice announcements that I have for today.
My name is Pam Johnson, pronouns are she, her. If you haven't noticed the display in the fellowship area, on July the 17th, is that right, Jen? We're going to have another Books and Beyond group. The title of the book is called The Invention of Wings, and it's a fictionalized account, though there are some historically accurate parts of a little-known abolitionist, and it's a very interestingly written book, and I think you will enjoy it. So if you would like to join us, please sign up at the table in the back.
Thank you, Pam. Any other announcements? Jen?
Just a reminder, the summer solstice gathering here Wednesday the 21st at 6:30 at the same time as the board meeting. We'll be outside. We'll have some food out there too. Remember to bring an herb and a flower or just yourself. If you do plan to come, if you could just swing by and let me know today, that would be great. It'll help with our preparations.
All righty. I think that is it for announcement. Oh, Christian has an announcement.
Just a reminder, yes, we do have yoga on Monday and also then the Wednesday coffee hour.
All right.
All on the backside of
Wednesday yoga, 6 p.m.? Monday yoga. Oops. Monday yoga, 6 p.m. Wednesday coffee, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah, okay. All right. I forget that little cute sentence that Mandy says, something about let our service to the world begin because our service is ended. I said that backwards, but have a great day, everybody.